Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we are going to discuss the 2013 animated feature film Despicable Me 2. So this is the follow-up to 2010's Despicable Me. These films are great. They're hour and a half long, very quick. So this is Agnes, Edith, Margot are living with Gru. We start out at Agnes's birthday party. Princess cancels, so Gru has to dress up as a fairy princess to entertain the children. Hysterical. He now has been recruited by I can't remember the acronym, ASV, Agency Against Super Villains or something like that. So that way he can help team up to figure out who has this serum that's creating these monsters and, is in the process of trying to take over the world. So he's assigned a partner, Lucy, voiced by Kristen Wiig. And so they are figuring out who in this mall is this supervillain who is creating the formula and, making these monsters, these purple monsters, which inadvertently are kidnapped minions. Very interesting plot twist. Dr. Nefarious is leaving Gru's. It's not a business. Gru's super villainy because a new business opportunity came about. They're creating jams and jellies, and it was just not what he was about. He wanted to do his science stuff, not baking stuff. So cooking stuff, excuse me. So the mall scenes are just so entertaining. I've worked at a mall for various years, and it's just great. The mall life is just a great experience. Every day is a new day. Every day there's new people. It's very unique, very specific, and they captured that, which is very hard to do. They captured it. Margot has this crush on this boy who's voiced by Moises Arias, and his name is Antonio, and his dad owns this Mexican restaurant that they're all prepping for Cinco de Mayo. So this is a movie you actually should watch on Cinco de Mayo because the ending takes place on Cinco de Mayo at this big party at the restaurant owner's house. And so Gru has suspicions that this restaurant owner is actually this masked luchador supervillain who died mysteriously in a volcano and his body was never found. And he's like, no, this looks exactly like the guy. Nobody believed him. And then it turns out it was the guy this entire time after Margot has insisted on dating Antonio and then Antonio breaks her heart. But figuring out Gru's feelings as well. Does he like Lucy? Does he not like Lucy? Should he go on dates? Should he not go on dates? Etc. Right? Will she like him for himself, or does he have to change things? Right? But the wrap up at the end is cute, and they all live happily ever after. And Agnes makes her Mother's Day speech, which is wonderful. And again, same time period. May is when Mother's Day is, so it's whole very uniquely uniformed in a time period. Very well done, very well done. Revisiting this 20 years later, I haven't watched this in probably 10 years, so it's very interesting watching this again. I remember when this came out, and I was like, bro, this soundtrack is banging. And listening to this again, I was like, holy crap, this was 10 years ago, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. No, 10 years ago, excuse me. This was 10 years ago. There we go. Okay. My math was super wrong when I was talking about Despicable Me the first time. 10 years ago, it was 2013. And that's when Despicable Me 2 came out. 13 years ago. There we go. Finally, math. Couldn't do math when we were talking about the first Despicable Me. Now we're doing math during the second Despicable Me. 13 years ago is when Despicable Me came out. 10 years ago is when Despicable Me 2 came out. So probably 7 years ago is when the last time I actually watched this. It's math is hard. Math is hard today. Woo! Hard today. Anyway, the soundtrack is so relevant still 10 years later. The songs are just fantastic, and it's really cool knowing how relevant it was then and how relevant it still is now. It's not many things can do that. So kudos to Despicable Me. Kudos to the Minions franchise with maintaining its pop culture references and notoriety all these years later. There's this sophistication I was hoping for while talking about Despicable Me 2. Wasn't hoping for it. It happened. And I got the words out. The nice 3 and 4 syllable words, they just flew out naturally. Despicable Me 2, a very fun mall Cinco de Mayo film. grab your chip hat and your guac, and you're all set to go. Mucho mahalo.